if I am still talking about relisting in my Poshmark closet in next week's What Sold video, somebody yell at me, call me out, hold me accountable, because I gotta get this done.
Won't nobody love you the way they should. Won't nobody check up on you, make sure you're good. Won't nobody check those body treatments for your neck.
Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park and I am a part-time reseller on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, Kidizen, and thredUP. On my channel, I do a weekly What Sold video just like this, as well as thrift hauls, tips videos, anything that really you would probably enjoy if you're a reseller yourself, and especially if you're a part-time reseller, because I only resell part-time. I have a full-time job, lots of other stuff going on, kids running around the house. So if you can relate, then definitely make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and make sure that you hit the notification bell, because I do have some really cool videos coming out, including an interview with the creators of Seller Insight. That's an app that I've been talking about a lot recently because I have been using it every day, as I've been relisting my entire Poshmark closet. And I use it for a lot of other stuff too, data, analytics, all that stuff surrounding my Poshmark business. And I also will have a video out about this whole relisting process, because it has been like a 3-month project and I'm finally getting to the end of relisting my entire Poshmark closet. And the reason I did that is because I have all this new inventory lying around at home. If you want to see what kind of stuff I have, I will link my thrift hauls playlist in the description down below, and that way you can see like what kind of stuff has been coming in, but like sitting in my house waiting for me to list, because I have all these listings on Poshmark that have just really been there for a really long time. And there were some things that were cross-listed over to my other platforms, some that weren't, some items that probably would do better on thredUP, some items that I just needed to optimize the listings a little bit more. So I've been really working diligently on relisting my entire Poshmark closet, cross-listing everything from Poshmark over to my other platforms, and cleaning up my inventory spreadsheet. So it's been a doozy. And like I said, I'll have a video out about that. So if you're interested in seeing some of those upcoming videos, then definitely make sure that you hit that notification bell as well, because that's the only way that YouTube will show you all of my content. If you don't press the notification bell, but you're just subscribed, then YouTube will show you some things when I upload them, but they won't show you all of them. So if you want to see all those videos, then definitely hit that notification bell as well. So this video is a What Sold video, and we're going to be talking about the week of October 5th, which was a Monday, through October 11th, which is a Sunday. And I'll be breaking down for you everything that sold that week, including where I got the item, how much I paid for it, if I remember, how much I let go of it for, how many days I held on to those pieces, all that good stuff. And hopefully the information from this video can help you make better decisions when you're thrifting or sourcing or whatever. So I also will have a playlist of my What Sold videos down in the description below. That way, if you really enjoy, learning from these types of videos, then you can binge watch them. So let's start with October 5th, which was a Monday. And the first thing to sell was actually a full price sale. I don't get too many of these, so these are always really exciting to me. But this was the North Face Canyonlands half zip pullover in a black color in a size medium. It sold for $35, which was my full asking price, and it is something that I relisted. So 13 days after I relisted it, it sold and I made $28. I'm like 99% sure that that's something that I worked out a consignment deal with one of my friends from church, and he gave me a ton of great pieces, all like really great brands. And so, I still have a few left, and I'm glad that this moved. And it makes sense that it moved now, because people are looking for kind of these like pullovers and outdoor pieces for the fall. The next thing to sell was a 4-piece bundle, and the way that this came about was kind of interesting. I sold one of the pieces, which was this New with Tags Talbot's gray sequin tank top in a size small petite. I sold that to this person first, and then saw that she was liking other things from my closet, and so I reached out and let her know that if she wanted to put other things in a bundle, I could cancel that previous order of the tank top and put it together with some other stuff, so that she would only have to pay for shipping once. And so she took me up on that. She put some more things in the bundle, and then I canceled the original offer of that tank top, put it in this bundle, and we were able to, get a bundle sale out of it, which is always really cool. Communication is key when it comes to bundle sales. So that particular tank top was something that I had pretty recently relisted. After I relisted it, it took 18 days to sell. And that is something that I got for free from a friend of mine at church. She was all about Talbots and White House Black Market Target, the Limited, Loft. Like I got just a ton of those kind of mall brands from her. And some of those pieces were amongst my oldest listings. Like this is definitely one of the oldest listings in my Poshmark closet. I've probably had it for like over a year. So I'm really happy that after relisting it in about, 2.5 weeks time it sold. The next thing in this bundle to sell was this Loft Orange Nature Print long sleeve popover in a size small. This was listed for 97 days. I had not yet gotten around to relisting it. I probably would be relisting it today if it still hadn't sold, but this is something that I got from a consignment store that I've been shopping at, or that I did shop at a lot earlier in the summer, and they allowed me to go into their like storage unit and shop by the garbage bag and pay $50 per garbage bag. So it really came out to about like 70, 80 cents a piece. So, like I said, I have like 80 cents into this. The next thing to sell was something that I relisted, and it was this New With Tags Style & Co sweater scarf combo in a size small. So basically, it's just like this kind of like marled knit sweater, but it came with like a matching fringe scarf. I mean, it's not matching in the sense of like, it doesn't have the same print, but it was just a set. Style & Co is a brand sold at Macy's, but I got this in a wholesale box from Via Trading, and I'll link that video right here. And I've actually heard from some of you that you have personally shopped from Via Trading before, and you've gotten wholesale boxes from them and you really enjoyed them. So the particular box that I got was a Macy's shelf pull box. So it was like Macy's returns or just stuff that didn't sell at Macy's in the time allotted. So it was like okay, it was a good box in the sense of like everything was in obviously new condition and everything was good in that sense. But here we are, like almost 2 years later, and I still have some of those pieces, so that tells you a little bit about the marketability, I guess, of those pieces. But yeah, so that I was able to relist and sell the very day that I relisted it, which is awesome. And then the next item to sell was this U of I t-shirt by the brand Colosseum. I live on the University of Illinois campus, or like right near it, and this was also in my 4 for $25 sale, just because it was just kind of like a lightweight, insignificant shirt. Like there's not much to it, it's just a t-shirt. And this was something that I relisted, and after it was relisted, it took 43 days for it to sell. So this bundle sold for $62 with discounted shipping, and I made $47.48 off of those 4 pieces, which doesn't come out to a large profit per item, but some of these pieces, like I said, were super old and were given to me for free, or I was able to source them for really cheap. So I was still really happy with that, and it just felt really good to get some of these older pieces out. And then on eBay, I sold this Bob Mackie embroidered jacket in a size 1X. It was like a black jacket, and it had these huge buttons with like embroidery detail all over them. Bob Mackie is an art to wear brand. I think it was much more popular, like years ago. And I think he, as a brand has kind of strayed from like the craziness that it used to be. Like it really used to be super art to wear. I picked this up at a Goodwill not too long ago, probably like at the end of last spring, or I think definitely before COVID, if I remember correctly. But I was able to get $30 for this. They paid for shipping, and so I made $24.77. That was promoted at 1%, and it was something that I relisted. I don't find a lot of joy in picking up Bob Mackie. I probably won't pick up very much of it in the future, unless it is like the crazy art to wear that could be worth some money. The next thing to sell was probably my only Kidizen sale of the week, I believe. And it was this pair of Sonoma butterfly jeggings in a size 5. They sold for $9. I paid for shipping through Kidizen, which was $3.85. And so I made $4.03 off of those. And that is something that I relisted. I originally had that paired with like 2 other pairs of like jegging type pants in a bundle. And like my cover photo was of all 3 of those pants together. They were all pants that my daughter had worn. So, like, yes, there was money in them in the sense of like, I picked them up at one point, although I don't even think I bought any of these. I think that someone gave them to us for my daughter to wear. Anyway, they were stuff that my daughter had worn, but I got like a couple requests from people asking if, I would sell them just the butterfly jeggings. And one person I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't mind, but like, what were you thinking? Because one of the reasons I bundle things like that in like sizes is because then it's kind of worth it to go through the process of like packaging and shipping and stuff, because you're going to get more bang for your buck that way versus like you know, charging $5 here, $5 there. And the person was like, $3? And I was like, no, like, I'm not going to sell you something for $3 and make like 5 cents off of it, if even that, right? So I think that was over on Poshmark, someone asked me, and then someone asked me on Kidizen, and they asked me if I'd be willing to break apart the bundle so that they could just get these butterfly jeggings. And I said, I mean, if it's worth it. And she was like, is $9 worth it? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So I sold it to her for $9, made $4.03. That's profit. That's fine. Like I was okay with that. And like I said, that was something that I had relisted, and it was probably relisted for about a month until that person came along and bought them. So I do have these other pants, these 2 other pairs of pants that I need to figure out what to do with. I might just send them into thredUP, honestly. And then on October 6th, which was a Tuesday, I only had one sale, and it was over on Poshmark. And it was this pair of American Eagle red low-rise skinny jeans in a size 6. These sold for $15, and it was something that I relisted. It took 80 days after relisting them for them to sell, and so I made $12 on them. I had less than $1 into them because they were from that consignment store, so I was happy with the profit. If I can pick up American Eagle for cheap enough, like under $1, I'll pick up like most anything, even low-rise, because there are people out there who prefer low-rise over anything else. But generally speaking, you can sell American Eagle jeans for like $25 or more if they're super trendy. If they're like high rise, if they're like the distressed jeggings, you can sell American Eagle for more than, you know, my $15 price. But this had kind of a lot of strikes going against it. It was definitely an older style. It was low rise. They were color denim, you know, just a lot of things that people look at and they're like, nope, I don't need that in my closet right now. And then on Wednesday, the 7th, I had one bundle sale on Poshmark. This made me so happy because Elizabeth, she appeared in last week's What Sold video as well because she bought something from me then. And then she came back and bought another, you know, bundle from my Poshmark closet, which I thought was so sweet. So she got this J. Crew Factory black and white striped dress in a size medium, just like a super classy dress, perfect for the office or for work or just something nice so you don't feel like a scrub all the time like I usually do. And that was listed for 97 days. Again, I probably would have relisted it like today or tomorrow if she hadn't bought that from me. And then the next thing to sell was this Talbot's green merino wool cardigan, and it was open front in a size medium. That also, you know, I would have gotten around to relisting today or tomorrow because it was listed for 99 days when it sold. Both of those came from that consignment store. And so I sent her an offer of $42 on those 2 pieces with discounted shipping, which she accepted. So I made $31.48. So Elizabeth, thank you so much for your purchase and for visiting my closet again. It means the world to me. You are awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The next thing to sell was over on eBay, and this also sold to a viewer, and I didn't know that she was a viewer until after, you know, the purchase had been made. But Amy, thank you so much. I hope you love this pullover. She got the North Face TKA 100 baby blue fleece quarter zip pullover in a size medium. This was something that I relisted, and it was like one of my oldest listings. I remember getting it in one of my first like thrifting trips ever. And I don't know about you, like I don't know if you remember the very first few times you ever went thrifting with reselling in mind, but like I remember those first few trips as if they were yesterday because I was just so excited and I was so sure I was gonna find like the most amazing things. And like my very first trip I remember was such a bust, like it was so sad. I think this was like my second or third trip. I was just so excited to find the North Face. And I didn't really know back then that not all things by good brands are equal. You know, like it really depends on the piece. It depends on the season. It depends on just so many different things. And so I don't think this was like a bad item. I just don't think it was something that a lot of people were looking for or are even looking for right now. I think it's a little bit older of a style. It was just like a very lightweight pullover, and I had it listed probably for like $18 or something, but Amy sent me a $12 offer, which I accepted. I had it with free shipping, which I don't do anymore, but I think that's how much I wanted to get rid of this. And I had to pay $3.31 to ship that out. It was also promoted at 1%, so I made $7.01 on that, and I was happy to do so because I just needed it out of my life. So Amy, thank you so much for taking it, and I hope that you're able to get a lot of use out of it and wear it. It is really cute. It's like a really pretty color. I just needed it out of here. The next thing to sell on eBay was pretty shocking because it was another full price sale and a surprising one. So it was this Abercrombie & Fitch like red ski graphic hoodie in a size small. It sold for $24.99, which was my full asking price. They paid for shipping, but they only paid $5, and I had to put it in a padded flat rate envelope because it did weigh over a pound. So I did have to pay an additional $2.52 to ship this out, which is totally fine because it sold for my full asking price, and I didn't think that it would. It is something that I relisted, and I made $18.57 off of that. That is something that I owned personally. Like, it was my old hoodie, and I just didn't wear it very often, which is why I ended up, listing it and selling it. And I don't even know if I paid $18.57 for that when I bought it. So that was pretty cool. The next thing to sell was my only thredUP sale of the week, I believe, and it was this pair of CJ Banks capri jeans in a size 16. These sold for $39.99, and my payout was $8. I have been sharing my arm is like itchy. If you just see my sleeve moving and you're like, what's doing that? It's my hand. I have been sharing my thredUP sales, and probably something that you and I have both seen as far as what my thredUP sales seem to have in common is that they typically are larger sizes, and this was no exception. CJ Banks, not like the most exciting brand at all, but because it was a larger size, it sold for $40. I made $8. I'm totally happy with that because I picked it up at the consignment store for less than $1. So some of these brands, like CJ Banks, Coldwater Creek, I'm not recommending that you go out and spend like $5, $6 on those pieces to send into thredUP because your payout is going to be like $8 or something. You're barely going to make any money, if any. But if you're at the bins, or if you are, shopping somewhere where it's like a fill a bag sale, I definitely recommend picking up stuff that you could just send into thredUP, and you just write some information down on a spreadsheet, you forget about it, they sell it for you, and you don't have very much invested in it at all. And the cool thing too is knowing that by doing so, especially if you're shopping at the bins or something like that, you're saving stuff from going to the landfill, which is another really great feeling, and you're giving it another shot at life. So even though, it's not a huge payout, my profit was like probably $7 on that item, it just felt really good to move it along to a new home and still make money off of it. And then moving on to Thursday, October 8th, I sold a couple things on Poshmark, and that was it. The first thing was this new with tags vegan leather color blocked crossbody purse. This was something that I have in the boutique section of my Poshmark closet. The boutique section is supposed to just be for wholesale items. Like, it's not supposed to be because you went to Goodwill and you found a Forever 21 t-shirt with the tag still on it. That's not supposed to go in the boutique section of your Poshmark closet. It's supposed to be things that are purchased wholesale. And so I have a friend who is a wholesaler. I have, a few SKUs that I've bought through him. And those are the pieces that I sold through my boutique section of my Poshmark closet, this being one of them. It was something that I had to relist, and I think I've sold through all these bags at this point. I sold this bag for $25. I made $20, and that's all she wrote. The next thing to sell was this John Deere layered graphic long sleeve t-shirt in a size 7. So it's for a young boy or girl. And it sold for $13, which I was really excited about because my listing price was $15, I believe. This is something that I picked up at the consignment store for less than $1, and I made $10.05 off of that. I did relist that one pretty recently as well. So I was happy to move it out and really happy to get a pretty reasonable offer on that one. I do like to pick up John Deere when I find it. I do think there is a group of people looking for that brand, and it does move pretty quickly for me. I think it's pretty cute in small sizes for kids as well. So because I was able to pick it up for so cheap at that consignment store, I did pick up a handful of long sleeve shirts, and I think some short sleeve shirts too, and they've all sold. So there you go. All right, if you're excited to hear about the weekend sales, then go ahead and hit that like button, and let's talk about Friday, October 9th. I would love to hear from you in the comment section down below. How are Fridays for you? Generally speaking, for me, they're not good at all. I don't know what it is about Fridays. Usually Saturdays and Sundays are pretty good. Fridays are usually crickets, but this particular Friday was a really good one. I think partly due to the fact that it was closet clear out. And so I sent out a ton of those closet clear out messages that you probably have heard me talk about. If you want to hear about my closet clear out method, I will put a link to that video right here. But thanks to that, I was able to make a handful of sales, and I had sales over on some different platforms as well. So The first thing to sell was this pair of Cole Haan Gianna suede brown clogs in a size 8.5. Those were something that I relisted, and I did get them at that consignment store. So I had less than $2 into those, and they sold for $20 using my closet clear out method. So I made $16 on those. Cole Haan is such a hit or miss brand, but I mean, this pair of clogs, one, were not super in line with like Cole Haan's aesthetic, I feel like. I also think they were an older shoe, and I don't know, like I was happy to move them at $20. I think I had them listed at $25. The next thing to sell was this new with tags Chicago Blackhawks Reebok jersey in a size small. The player name, I don't know how to say his name. Toes. I don't know how to say his name. But he's apparently like really good, really famous. He's like the player on the Blackhawks right now. Is hockey happening this year? I don't know. I don't know anything about hockey. But this I had listed pretty high because the comps at the time that I listed them were really good. I don't remember where I got this. I want to say I picked it up at either a consignment store or at Goodwill. I live in Illinois, so it makes sense that I would have sourced it locally. But yeah, I relisted it and it sold 15 days after I relisted it. It sold for $60 using my closet clear out method, and I made $48. And I already got a love note on that with the person saying that she loves it, so I'm so happy to hear that. The next thing to sell was this new with tags plaid fringe Ruana blanket scarf. This was also something that I relisted. This was also something that was in the boutique section of my Poshmark closet, and I also no longer have any of these, which I'm so happy about because I got these last like November. So I was coming up to, having had these for a year, and so I'm glad that they're out of my house finally. And it makes sense that they would have sold now because this is such a fall piece, So it sold for $25 using my closet clear out method, and I made $20 on that. The last thing to sell on Poshmark was this pair of Romeo and Juliet couture joggers with like an ankle zip in a size large. These were something that I relisted as well, and they sold to Lena, which was awesome. Lena bought something from me last week from my Instagram sale, and then she came back to my closet and bought these too. And when she liked them at the time, I didn't realize that it was her, and I sent her my closet clear out message and all that stuff, said I could drop the price to $20, and she was like, haha, yeah, I'll take them. And then when I went to print the shipping label, that's when I realized it was the same person. So that was so nice of you, Lena. Thank you so much if you're watching. They sold for $20. I made $16, and I did get those at that consignment store as well. And then over on eBay, I had a couple sales. The first one was this PS3 wireless controller. It was my last one, and I had originally sold it with my PS3, but if you watch that what sold video from, a few months ago, I was so sad because I sold our old PS3. The person received it, and then they opened up a return because they said it was broken, and it was broken, and it was completely my fault. There were like 2 discs shoved in there. I think it was my son that did it. So he sent it back, and I still need to relist the PS3. I'll probably just list it for parts. But the things that I had as part of the bundle, I'm starting to list out again. So this controller, I had it listed for $25. I was running a sale on my eBay store, so I sold it for $17 with free shipping, and I made $11.48 on that. The next thing to sell on eBay actually sold last week. If you remember from last week's What Sold video, I had a really hard time getting people to pay for the things that they had purchased. So this person, it took them a week, but they did finally pay, so that's why I'm talking about it in this video. I didn't talk about it in last week's, but it was this Roberta di Camerino, which was this Italian-made button-up shirt in a size 40. They paid $15 for this. It was promoted at 1%. And after they paid for shipping, I made $12.82. That was something that I relisted as well. And I did get that at the consignment store for under $1. So the consignment store carries a little bit of everything. I mean, the majority of the stuff that they had in their storage unit was obviously women's pieces, but they had kids' pieces as well. And they had a pretty small selection of men's pieces. So, it was cool that I was able to get a little bit of everything when I went shopping there earlier this summer. And then on Mercari, I sold this pair of Sperry topsider leather bow flats in a size 6. These were something that I had relisted from Poshmark over to Mercari. And my relisting process, obviously I'm going to talk about it in the video that I come out with soon, but I basically use a 2-punch combination of Seller Insight, which is an app that I made a video about. I will share that with you right here. What Seller Insight does is, instead of having to go to my Poshmark closet and scroll all the way down to my oldest listings, which is super annoying because like I said, I had over 700 listings when I started this relisting project. Seller Insight, there's a feature where you can see the oldest listings in your Poshmark closet. Like they're just right there, like your 30 oldest listings. So it was so nice to just be able to like access those right away instead of literally scrolling for like what seemed like 5 minutes to get to the bottom. So I would identify what listings needed to be relisted, you know, which items were the oldest. I would actually use Seller Insight in conjunction with Poshmark to relist those old items. And the way that I would do it with Seller Insight was so fast. And so I would do that first. And then once I had relisted a bunch of stuff from Poshmark, then I would go to List Perfectly and I would cross list the items from Poshmark to the other platforms that I was selling on. So I don't think that I would be at this stage of the game with relisting my Poshmark closet if it hadn't been for those two things, Seller Insight and List Perfectly. And actually, before I knew that you could do all of this stuff with Seller Insight, I have had Seller Insight for like months, but I just didn't know that it was capable of all this stuff. So before I figured that out, I was doing it in a much slower way, you know, where I was scrolling to the bottom of my Poshmark and all that stuff. And it was taking me like literally 5 times as long to relist. So I'm so happy to have learned kind of this system. And like I said, I will share it in full detail with you in that video that I'll have coming out soon. And I do have links down below in my description for both the Seller Insight app. It is a subscription-based app. So you pay monthly to see all this amazing data and analytics surrounding your Poshmark business. And then I also have List Perfectly, and I'll have a link for that down below as well. And again, that's a monthly subscription fee that you pay in order to be able to easily cross list things from Poshmark to other platforms or from, you know, another platform to other platforms. And they have like 11 platforms, I think, at this point that you can cross list to. It's amazing. And yeah, I'm willing to give these people my money every month because that's how much easier they make my life as a part-time reseller. So just those little plugs out there, you can check out those links down below. And then on Saturday, the 10th, I had one sale on Poshmark. It was a sad little sale, but I was really happy to see it go. It was this Kate Spade patent leather wristlet with like the polka dot, like the black and white polka dot print that was really popular on her stuff like many years ago. This was a relist. It took 32 days after being relisted to sell, and it sold for $10, which gave me $7.05. The reason why it sold for so little is because it was mine, and like the wrist part, like that you put around your wrist, the wristlet part, had detached from the bag itself, like it had ripped off. And so it was broken basically. And then on the outside, there were like a few little stains. I don't know about you, but I do come from like a pretty humble background. My dad's a pastor. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, and I never had like nice things. Like I always wore hand-me-downs. I didn't own name brand items. I still remember in 5th grade being so excited that someone from our church was taking me to Limited 2, if you remember that store, to get a new pair of flare jeans. Like I'd never owned new jeans before. And I remember like being inside the store and being like, these are $40. Like who spends $40 on one pair of jeans? Like I was shooketh to my core as a child, I remember. But I got this bag, I think like when I had my first job, my first like full-time job as a teacher. I went to Barney's, I think, in Chicago with a friend, and I like splurged on this bag. It was like $90 or something like that. And I didn't really know that much about like not luxury brands, but well, yeah, luxury brands or just like upscale brands. I didn't really know that much about them, but I, you know, had heard of Kate Spade, and I was like, I want to own something nice. Like I feel like I deserve something nice because I've only ever been able to afford fast fashion before. So I bought this, and I rarely used it because look at how small it is. Like I was one of those girls that carried like huge bags all the time because I always carried so much crap around with me. So I, you know, had it. I used it every now and then, enough to break the strap off of the bag apparently and to stain it. But I did finally, you know, list it to just like get it out of my life, because although I feel like it does represent something kind of cool, which was me, getting my first full-time job and being able to buy things for myself. I also wanted to let go of it because I wanted to let go of the idea that it's important to have name brand things, or just the idea that it's important to have nice things, because I don't think that's true. Like, I've kind of gone back to the days of not owning a lot of nice things. Like, I don't own a lot of nice name brands. And if I do, it's because I picked it up for $6 at Goodwill. But I'm happy. Like, I don't think you need name brand clothes or things or nice cars or whatever to be happy. I think that's the lie that's kind of shoved down our throats. But I'm happy without it. So it was kind of symbolic for me to let go of that piece. And even though it only sold for $10 and I only made $7.05 off of it, I'm okay with that because it isn't really worth what I thought it was, if that makes sense. Moving on eBay, I had a pretty exciting sale. It was this Ralph Lauren Black Label waxed blazer jacket in a size 42R. It was something that I relisted, and it was from the same friend who, I worked out a consignment deal with that, like the North Face pullover that I talked about at the very beginning of this video. This sold for $74.99. Like I said, I was running a sale that was like 40% off of my asking price, which I was still happy with. I was able to somehow get this into a padded flat rate envelope. So at the time when I made my notes here, as you can see, I hadn't like done the shipping and stuff for all this stuff yet. I said that it would cost $10 to ship out, which is what they paid, but I was actually able to save like $2.48 or something on that. So I said that I made $63.94 on this, but I think I actually made around like 68, which is cool. And then the last thing to sell on eBay was this pair of Tom's Alessandra pink ballet flats in a size 5.5. These were a relist as well. These sold for $16. They paid for shipping. I ended up making around like $13, $14 on these. They were promoted at 1%, and I did get those at the consignment store, so I have less than $2 into those. And at first the buyer sent me kind of a lower offer, but in countering back and forth with her, she was like, I'm willing to come up a little bit. I just am trying to save money, but I do really like these shoes, and I had shoes like these before, and these reminded me of those, which is why I wanted them. So I let them go for $16, which I thought was fair, and she thought it was fair. So that was really great that we were able to work that out, and I'm glad that she's going to get a pair of shoes that she loves. And then on Sunday the 11th, I had a couple sales on eBay. The first one was to a viewer named Amy again. So she was the one that had also bought the North Face fleece earlier in the week, and then she came back to my closet and also bought this shirt. It was this Brooks Infinity running shirt with like cutouts on the back by the shoulder blades in a size medium. It was something that I had relisted, and I sold it to Amy for $10. She paid for shipping, and so it'll come out to about $8.04. Like I said, some of these I hadn't shipped out yet, so I was just kind of estimating how much it would cost, but I think it actually cost a little bit less than that, so I probably made like a few cents more off of this sale, and that was promoted at 1% as well. So Amy, thank you so much. I hope you go on some really good runs in this shirt. The last sale of the week was kind of a ridiculous one. It was this Atari Go Retro 13 paddle games thing. I don't know. It was like, it plugs into the TV. It was new in the box. I got it at a garage sale last summer, and it sold for $8.99. That was the sale price, because like I said, I was running a sale on eBay. I had them pay for shipping. I did just like, get ready to ship this out. I said that they needed to pay $5 for shipping, but it actually cost like almost $8. Like, I couldn't get it in a padded flat rate envelope. It was a little too big for that, so I had to do priority mail, and yeah, almost $8. So this is where I kind of like made up for the fact that I saved on shipping on some other things. I definitely lost on shipping here. So my profit on that was probably closer to like $4 or $5, which is not a lot, and I probably paid around that much for this stupid thing in the first place. So that was not a good pickup. I got it last year, like I said, as I was preparing for Q4, but it turned out no one really wanted this thing. So let's talk about the week and what it looked like and just kind of the breakdown. On Poshmark, I sold 15 things, and that gave me a total of $256.06. On eBay, I sold 9 items, and that gave me a total of $166.86. On Mercari, I sold one item, and that was for a total of $18.42. On Kidizen, I sold one pair of butterfly jeggings for $4.03. And on thredUP, I had one sale that I made $8 on. By the way, I say this in all my videos, but all of the numbers that I just shared with you, those are my net sales, not my gross sales. So I've already taken out any, platform fees, any shipping discounts, all that good stuff. This is the amount going into my bank account. The only number that I haven't subtracted from this is my cost of goods. But as you heard me talk about, most of my cost of goods were really, really low. Most of the stuff I was getting at that one consignment store for less than $1. I got some stuff for free. So, probably like at the most $40 or $50 for my cost of goods. So in total, I sold 27 things and I made a total of $453.37. Out of the 27 things that I sold, 19 of them were things that I relisted, which is awesome. So, my goal is that in the next couple days here, I think I'll actually be done relisting my entire Poshmark closet. And so I'm hoping that by next week's video, I will actually be able to share with you items that have sold as a result of being brand new listings. And trust me when I say, I have a lot of stuff to list. There's a lot of stuff in my house that I need to get out because holy moly, it is looking like a hoarder's house here. And then I always like to kind of update you on how many items I've sold from that consignment store where I was shopping by the bag. This week, I sold 9 pieces from that consignment store, which brings me a total of 241 items that I've sold from that consignment store. And the amount of money that I've earned from selling pieces from that consignment store is $3,918.61. And my initial investment was $1,400. So making some good money there. I have bags and bags and bags of stuff from there to list. So hopefully I can get to some of that this week. I sold 20 women's pieces, 3 men's pieces, 2 kids pieces, and 2 hard goods, which is good for me because I don't have a lot of hard goods. So the fact that I was able to move any of them at all is amazing. That was my week, guys. I would love to hear from you how your week has been. Does it feel like Q4 for you yet? It certainly does not really for me, but I don't think that clothing resellers experience Q4 in the same way that, those who sell like electronics or collectibles or basically hard goods. I think their Q4s look very different than clothing resellers. So just throwing that out there, if you're hearing everyone talk about how Q4 is amazing, it's usually not that crazy for clothing resellers. So that was my week of sales. Thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is your time. Just hit that little red, this guy. Hit him and the bell while you're down there, while you're, hitting all the things. Hit the bell too, and that way you'll know every time I put new content up on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.